Hey everybody. Okay, today we're going to try and make this poster, recreate the poster for President Obama's campaign that was made by a visual artist named Shepard Fairey. Your warm-up today was to open the image from Google Class in Photoshop and use the pen tool to trace the portrait of Obama. So, this is the photo that you should see in Google Class. And if you need help with the warm-up, then you can watch this part. If you've got this part down, then you can just skip along to part 1 of the video, which will start in a couple minutes. Okay, so I've grabbed my pen tool, and every time I click, an anchor point is dropped. I move along and then drop another anchor point. If you feel comfortable clicking and holding to create curves, that's awesome, and it'll save you a little bit of trouble moving forward. You won't have to go back and reestablish your lines or refit them or pretty them up. So I'm just going to go all the way around his noggin. And if it's not perfect, it'll be okay. I'm down to the corner. This is just one straight line, so I'll go all the way to the corner and all the way to that corner. All the anchors are blue. I have created a closed form. That means that it's not open anywhere. Everything is connected. Great, so now we're at part 1. Once you have selected the entire shape of the head and the body, which is just a suit here, with the pen tool in Photoshop, go back to the pen tool on your toolbar and click it and hold until you see an option for Convert Point Tool. Select that tool. So here's the pen tool. I'm going to click it and hold it, and here's the Convert Point Tool all the way at the bottom. So if you have some areas that you want to make a little more curved or rounded out instead of angular, like this one kind of comes to a sharp point, then you can click and you'll see what happens. Generally, the longer the handles are, the greater curve and the further away from your original path you're going to go. So if you have the handles super short, you're going to basically retain the same angle that you had already created. Okay, moving on to part 1, step 2. When you have the path the way you want it, right-click your mouse and choose Make Selection. Here we go. Click OK, and now everything is selected. All right, in your Layers panel, select the layer if it's not already selected. It should be selected. It's the only layer we're working with. Unlock it. It'll probably be locked. Just click that lock. Go ahead and create a layer mask, and the background will disappear. The last thing that we need to do, actually there's 2 more things, and one of them I think I forgot to write in your directions, and that is to make this a grayscale image. So I'll just go to Image Adjustments. Oh, it looks like I need to select the right part. Image Adjustments, black and white. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to flatten my layer. So I'll go to the top of the screen, find the layer drop down, and scroll all the way down to Flatten Image. And then the last step is to save it. All right, now let's go ahead to Illustrator. So we're at part 2, open Illustrator. You can see I started a file like this last night, but we will make a new one from scratch right now. So at the top of your screen, File, drop down to New, and scroll over to where it says Art and Illustration. And we're going to choose the poster preset, and let's change the title to your name, first or last, I don't care, Obama poster. And click create. Wonderful. All right, first thing we're gonna do is create a color palette that we can use repeatedly. So I need to make a rectangle. Select my rectangle tool. I'm gonna build it off of my artboard. And I don't want any stroke. And I want the color to be not white, but off-white. If we look back to the example that we're working from, you can see that the color of the border is mostly white, an off-white, like cream colored. Click OK. Cool. Now I have one square. If I just click, it's going to make another one with the same dimensions. I'm at step 4 where it says draw 3 more squares. Okay, 3 more squares. So I'm going to select the second one and change the fill to red. I'm going to select the third one and change the fill to a dark blue. And the third one, I'm going to change the fill to a lighter blue. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe I'll make that a smidge darker. Okay, cool. All right. Now, we're at step 5, draw a rectangle that covers your entire artboard. So it's basically going to be the same size as the artboard. And you can see that it's got the blue fill because that was the last color we used, but I want it to have the cream colored fill, and an easy way to change this color is to use your eyedropper tool from your toolbar. And with the shape whose color you want to change selected, click on the color you want it to change it to. So the eyedropper tool basically is like sucking up whatever color you point it and click towards. Okay, so I have one rectangle. I want to draw another rectangle. I'm going to draw another rectangle that's slightly smaller because I just really want this cream to be a border for right now. It's important that we draw the whole rectangle and not a border because we will use that layer later on. Okay, so it made another cream rectangle on top, and actually I want it to be a light blue rectangle. So it's selected, and all I have to do is click the light blue color. I don't have to go back up to my color wheel, color picker, and try and find the exact same one. It's just already right there. Okay, cool. Now I will draw another rectangle, and this one is going to be the same size as the last, but I want it to be red. And then I have one more to draw. And this one will be the same width as the other two, but its height will be around 380 points. Doesn't have to be exactly 380, anything close is fine. And we'll make that one navy blue. And I'm just gonna pull that down to the bottom. Okay, cool. So we're all set up and ready to bring the picture of Obama that we were working on in Photoshop into Illustrator. So I think that leads us on to part 3. Okay, so step 1 says with your Obama poster file open, go to the top of your screen to the file drop-down menu and select paste. So our Obama poster file is open, so I'm going to go to file, drop down, and select place. I think I said paste, but I meant place. Okay, we're gonna do place instead of open because if I opened it, it would be in a different tab, and if I just select place, then it'll just embed it directly into this file. All right, so I'm going to choose the photo I just worked on, and it's sort of attached to my mouse. When I click, it drops it, and we're good to go. I'm going to resize it. We can resize it more in a little bit, but basically I want to make sure his head fits in the square I made. Okay, cool. Now we're at step 4. With Obama selected, go to the top of your screen, find the effects drop down, and scroll down to artistic. It's under the Photoshop effects, which means the effects were originally made for Photoshop, and you can find them there too. But we're just going to use it here, and we're going to choose cutout. And what this does is significantly simplifies our shape. And we're going to simplify it again when we use another tool, but this like sort of sets us up to get the best result we can from that second tool. So just play around with your levels here. I'm on the right side of my screen now, changing the number of levels, and you can see when the slide bar is all the way to the right, it looks more clear. When it's all the way to the left, it's more black and white. So it looks like it's maybe counting the number of grays or something. I want it more on the simpler side. I'm going to keep it around 4. Edge simplicity, if you bump it up all the way, becomes totally wackadoodle. But it also can be a really cool effect if you're still retaining some sort of likeness to the original image. But let's see. I think I actually want to keep the edges sort of complex. The edge fidelity doesn't do a lot at this point in the game. All right, so I'll click OK. Everybody's is going to look a little bit different there, and that's fine. All right, now we need to open our image trace window. Mine's already open. If yours is not, go to the top of your screen to the window, drop down, and scroll all the way down to image trace. With your Obama selected, click preview, and it's going to give you a preview of the trace result in black and white, but we are going to change it to a grayscale. And because it just is going to give us more information. And you can play around with these scroll bars too, the number of paths. It must be thinking because it's not really changing anything. Oh, okay, I guess it's working quickly. If I lower the paths, his face sort of gets all skewed or abstracted. If I bump them up, then it stays about the same. And I sort of like it right there around 83%. Corners aren't really doing a whole lot right now. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to unclick preview, click trace, and then go to the top of your screen to the object drop down and select image trace, expand. Awesome. You have completed part 3. Moving on to part 4. With Obama selected, go to the top of your screen, select object, drop down to ungroup. Choose the direct selection tool. I'm on step 2 in your direct selection tool from the toolbar. And we're going to select the white background and we're going to delete it. The next step says that you should be left with only the black portions of the portrait, but I actually still have a lot left, and I'm going to get rid of them. You could make this next part a little bit easier on yourself, I suppose, if you just selected this and then got the eyedropper tool and made it the color it's supposed to be, which I think is red there, and this one might be like the light blue, And then, but it's actually not perfect. So I'm just gonna delete those. I want to just see these black shapes, and then I want everything else to be transparent for now. I'll even get rid of those, get rid of that. That one's kind of tricky. Get rid of that, get rid of that. That one, I think I'll leave that one. That one's gone. Gone, gone. Okay, you guys can play around with this a lot more. So for the area that's left, let's just make it the navy blue, since we're not using black in our palette. Oops. Actually, I wonder, since... No. Okay, since it's ungrouped, I guess we have to click each one individually, but I wonder if I click this is a regular selection tool, select all of them, and group them, if now, no, it still has them being separate. Okay, so forget that. Let's keep it ungrouped. Use your direct selection tool. Select these individual shapes. You can select more than one at once by holding down Shift. And I just don't want them to be gray. I want them to be navy blue. So then grab your eyedropper tool and click the navy blue and use your direct selection tool. Whoops. Forgot about you. There we go. To just get rid of those other shapes. Make that navy blue. The rest of those can be navy blue. I don't really remember the exact color that they are supposed to be, but that's okay. All right, cool. Okay, I'm on part 4, step 6. Are there any areas that you would like to draw back in? Maybe the edge of the jaw or his left ear. Select your paintbrush tool and paint in the areas that you want to improve on. So let's just do one thing at a time. I'm going to select my paintbrush tool and I'm going to draw a line in there, but it's not that big. It's not quite big enough, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. That's a lot better. Oops. Let's make it even bigger still. So the shortcut to make either your eraser tool or your paintbrush tool bigger is to use the right bracket. It's sort of like underneath your delete button and to the side a little bit. That's cool. Okay. I think this ear actually needs to come in a little bit. I'm looking at the ear on the other side. There, that's a little bit better. Okay, that's fine, good enough. Okay, now I want to clean that up a little bit and make it part of this background shape. So first I need to select the ones I just drew and go to the object drop down and click expand appearance, and now they're all shapes. With those brush strokes selected, hold down Shift and select the rest of Obama in the Pathfinder window. Where's my Pathfinder window? Not open. Click Unite. All right, we're good to go. Okay. So this is our last task for today, I think, unless you want to be so bold as to add text, which you can totally do. We're going to select the eraser tool. It works a lot differently in Illustrator than it does in Photoshop. Because we're working with these vector shapes, it'll take part away and sort of try and reclose the shape as best as it can with a new path. Okay, so I just made my eraser a lot bigger, and if you go back and take a look at this, his head goes all the way to the top, and on one side the background is blue, and on the other side the background is red. So actually, it would really be good if this was grouped again. But it's not. All right, well, take that as a lesson. I can go back and regroup this whole thing to move it over and reposition it, but I guess for the sake of getting through the video, I'm not going to right now, but try and get it in place first before you ungroup it so you don't have to go back and click everything again. Okay, so I'm using the eraser tool. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. What's happening? Wait, really, what is happening? Okay, let's go over. Window layers. Okay. Okay, I know what happened. So select the layer that you want to erase first. And then get your eraser tool and then erase. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. What's happening? It's okay. It only erased that layer, and you can see that it's built a new path with new anchor points. And if you wanted, you can click and drag those over. But I am just going to erase a big portion here. Okay, good. Then I'm going to make my eraser brush a lot smaller so I can work into his face some. And now would be a good time to pull up the reference. So like the original image, and take a look. So let's just look at his forehead. Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of red left on the side, and most of his left side of his face is blue or white. So let's just erase, but there's definitely no red. So I'm gonna erase like most of this section of the forehead. And it looks like in some places there's just a little bit of a red outline. So like maybe on top of the eyebrows, I'll just leave like a little red outline here and there. And then I think on the left side of the face, there was a little bit too. And around the eye, there was some. Okay, so you get the idea. And then we can do the same thing to the layer underneath. So select the blue layer this time, grab your eraser tool, and then select some areas to erase for like the highlights. and you guys can spend a lot more time trying to make this look nicer, but that is how we can make the Obama Hope poster. All right, enjoy.